What is up, everybody? Welcome to PodCasterComedy. We've got another fantastic edition for you today. We've got a wonderful guest. This is Robert Burgunder from Windsor. He's a lawyer. He's an entrepreneur. He's a philanthropist, an animal rights activist. All kinds of accolades. And of course, I am your host, Joe King, along with Paul Stapfer.
Hey, everyone.
Our host.
We're back.
We are, and we're gonna have some fun talking to Robert about various things. He's a friend, so we're more or less just gonna have fun with this one and talk about whatever we want to talk about or whatever Robert wants to talk about. So first off, we're mentioning your. Sorry, go ahead.
I got the Cal greeting because I used to live in Calgary.
Right.
So the first name is actually Cal. There's no hyphen in it.
Oh, so we should call you Cal Greedy?
No, Cal.
Cal. Oh, yeah, I guess. I don't go up to my friend John Smith all the time and go, hey, John Smith. Actually, if I had a friend named John Smith, I probably would call him John Smith all the time.
Yeah, I was curious about the Cal Greedy.
Well,
I thought that accurately reflected the business attitude in Calgary.
You used to live in Calgary, though, didn't you, Rob?
But that's why I'm convinced that Cal Greedy is probably the good name for the place.
and can you be specific on where the name came from? Is it about the oil, the money?
Well, my experience from Calgary is most of the people there are basically transients. They come there to make their fortune, and they have no intention of staying. Like once they make their money, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it everywhere. They don't invest too much in facilities that are permanent because they're not going to be there for long, and that's why they want reduced taxes. If you want to get elected in Calgary, just tell people, I'm going to reduce your taxes. I'm going to cut out the recreation. I'm going to cut down on the road work. I'm going to cut down on the water supply. And they'll vote for you because they don't intend to be there when the place blows up.
Right.
Not too many original Calgarians.
I'm an original Calgarian, and I'm still here trying to make the money. So I don't know what. It seems like everyone else gets a fair shake at the stick.
I'm part of that half of Calgary that comes from Saskatchewan. So
Yeah, but the ones that come from Saskatchewan are semi-permanent.
yeah,
They fled with probably the 1980 gold rush, and hung around for the last depression or two, and so now you're stuck there. But the ones that move in and move out, they're the ones that grab the good jobs and make the money, and they're gone.
Very true.
And Paul, my father would have a phrase for people in your position. That would be leftover Calgarians.
Yeah, fair enough. I, being I'm a first generation Canadian, and first generation Calgarian, and it's always been, and never wanting to work in the oil patch, like not wanting to have anything to do with oil or gas. I guess was a sort of a big deterrent to my income potential, just because that's what people really come here for is, and anyone that I know that like was in whatever industry they're in, they either end up in the oil and gas industry or have left the oil and gas industry.
Well, the good news is Canada, Trudeau's probably, filled Calgary with Uber drivers and Just for Eats deliverers, so you don't have to worry about getting your food delivered to your door anymore. And those people don't want to work in the oil patch either.
Yeah, that's
Come on, just take it and poke at Trudeau, because for some reason he wasn't very popular in Alberta.
no, never, and had only really become popular in the last several weeks, honestly. During his whole tenure. Where are you currently?
I'm on the shores of the beautiful Lake St. Clair.
Which is where?
It's part of it's south of Detroit.
Wow.
The most southerly, pretty much the most southerly area of Canada.
It's supposed to be a pretty beautiful area around Lake St. Clair. If you believe Kid Rock songs.
Yeah, and it's kind of filling up. It's kind of filling up a little too quickly as well, right? Once a place gets discovered, it gets destroyed.
I got a question about that. What's to stop people from who are out boating on the lake from simply just going to the other side in the middle of nowhere? Do they have patrols for that? Do they monitor that at all?
Well, Homeland Security allegedly can see every square inch of the lake and monitors it for the vehicle traffic, like boats. However, if you want to go over there, you need a special. You phone in and you tell them you're coming over. You tell them you have a Nexus card or passport number, and then you can go and dock at one of the marinas. So it was once fairly easy to go back and forth. There's a First Nations on the one corner of Lake St. Clair, and I guess they can go and do whatever they want because they seem to have a good supply of cigarettes at a discount on the reserve. And I don't know what the story is there, but I think a lot of that is an exaggeration. And the reason I saw an object out in the lake one November, and it looked like a kayaker slumped over his kayak. So after watching it for a while and consulting with my neighbor that has a better set of binoculars than I do, I phoned the OPP. We have Ontario Provincial Police down here. So they sent out a constable. He couldn't tell what it was. They sent out a sergeant who was in charge of the water. He couldn't tell what it was. So he phoned the Canadian Coast Guard, who didn't know what it was, who phoned the American Coast Guard that didn't know what it was, that phoned Homeland Security that didn't know what it was, that brought in a Coast Guard cutter that was too big to come into the lake, so it had to park at the channel. They brought in a smaller boat, and now we're talking 4 hours of this object drifting around in the lake towards the Detroit River. And they phoned a helicopter that came down from Trenton, and by this time it's getting dark, scanned the lake, and eventually they recovered something miles and miles away from where I initially saw it. We got a call an hour later. It was party balloons. They can't identify party balloons. How are they ever going to identify somebody going across the border or not? So I think they exaggerate their abilities.
Well, if we know anything about the current administration down there, is they are very honest and straightforward. Honest and straightforward.
They caught one guy trying to scuba dive across the bottom of the
lake,
the Sarnia River, apparently trying to smuggle drugs. That didn't work out too well. So it does happen. I mean, people just they just don't. Why try to smuggle anything?
Especially now that there will be a tariff on it.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pay 25% more for Canadian drugs.
Yeah.
So everybody's just they're going to go with their own method
to make it in the U.S.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
As if they don't already.
Yeah, I know. So, how long have you been out there?
Decade. I left Calgary, 15 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I first moved to Alberta, like I'm talking the late 70s, it was a radically different place, you know. I kind of feel sorry for the people that have been there for a generation.
Thank you.
One thing I've noticed, a lot of people I know that have been leaving Calgary lately, ironically enough, many of them are just going to Edmonton. And people seem to find a happier life in Edmonton these days. I think it always used to be kind of the opposite. This was seen as the nicer.
Yeah.
It's still seen as the nicer city, I think. And Edmonton, this is the white collar city. Edmonton's the blue collar city.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there for 5 years. I thought Edmonton the people were actually nicer. Is one thing I found. But
I agree.
I just find it weird that there's this shift now that it always used to be Edmonton people coming to Calgary to seek their fortune, and now they're going to Edmonton. You know, just because they don't like Calgary.
And that's fair.
I think you hit the nail on the head. They go to Calgary to seek their fortune, and they go to Edmonton for the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You just summed it up. You know, in Edmonton, if you look at their Fringe Festival.
Yeah, their art scene in general.
Yeah, the River Valley is a little more peaceful than the Calgary River Valley, and I can see why people leave Calgary.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like the art scene up in Edmonton, the Fringe, the theater scene, the vibe of all that kind of stuff is really, really. Like, there's a vibe up there about it, you know, and definitely more so than here, for sure. There is, you know, a pretty good music scene here and comedy scene, but it's just really niche, subdued.
I think something we really have good here in Calgary is the food scene, though. Like,
oh
if
yeah,
you're a foodie, this is one of the best cities in Canada to be in.
Yeah.
One of.
Yeah.
The culinary scene here is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the very strange thing about the two cities is that whatever one city is, the other is not.
Yeah. Actually,
you know what I mean? Like whatever Edmonton has in spades, Calgary does not. And whatever we have here, they do not.
Boils right down to when the Oilers are winning, the Flames are not.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Exactly. The Oilers
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
They're both losing now, though.
Oh yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I think Winnipeg's doing like I think they're top spot right now.
Yeah, but they'll never be a destination city.
No.
You got to have a really lucrative job waiting for you to convince anyone to move to Winnipeg.
Yeah, no kidding.
No offense to Winnipeg, but yeah, if you live there, you know.
You know.
Look at whose fault that was. The city planners in Calgary allowed housing.
That's an oxymoron, by the way.
Edge of the reserve. What the heck were they thinking?
Well, city. You said it right there. City planners.
Bad planning. You know, they sold the land for housing, and it was greedy.
Oh, sure.
Calgary.
Yeah.
The other aspect is when there was a dispute over the ring road, that casino was right on the edge of Calgary.
Right.
And the thing is, they had to get access to Calgary's roadways in order to keep that casino open. Now, a good negotiator would have said, hey, sorry, there's no roads that go there. You know? Shocker, right? You, to get access to your casino, we're going to have to build a ring road, you know, and all of a sudden the negotiation would have been on a more even level. So there's lots of problems with that ring road that it just goes to show you what greed does.
And especially in that quadrant, it is the most cluster effed area. Like it goes in every direction. It's that's the worst part of it.
They got a good costume.
Well,
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean? But like, especially by the casino and like West Hills, Sarcee, all that, it's a disaster.
well, one of the problems was if you worked for the city of Calgary and you worked the Zamboni in the winter and the lawnmower in the summer, and you were there for 10 years and you kept moving up, before long you were director of planning. And you had no idea what the hell you were doing, right? And all of a sudden everything booming on you and going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you got to hire engineers and planners and all kinds of stuff. It's too late. You know, they've drawn up the city on a napkin, and that's what you get. You know, it's the way it is in Calgary and Edmonton. The professionalism 30, 40 years ago just wasn't there. And that's why you see the mess today.
Right.
But that ring road is I mean, it's 2/3 of it anyways. It's a great road. I haven't been on the south side of that for a while.
Yeah, the south side in particular is
Southwest, yeah.
Southwest in particular is a kind of like it's good, like it works, it's functional, but definitely a bit of a cluster, and you know, they wanted to get their names on portions of it, so that makes it confusing. You know, like when you're kind of going through the reserve side and then you're on a different road, but it's the same road, it's just got a different name because it's on treaty land and all this kind of stuff. So, and I mean, I get it, but it's also like that's their fuck you to like, you know, the system, you know what I mean? Like, screw you guys, we're taking this and making it ours for us, which I get, but also it's just like.
What's funny though, when you really look at the big picture, we're sitting here complaining about this city,
Yes.
and its city planning and everything else, and all the problems. Oh, it's so bad, it's so bad. You think there's some guy in Lagos right now in Nigeria going, well, you know, guys, really, come on. I think you got it pretty good, you know. Somebody's sitting there in Rio going, you want to talk about city planning?
Yeah.
Okay, come run the rooftops with me.
Yeah, totally. Let's get out of this boat,
I was
fella.
in Mexico City 2 weeks ago, and there's 22+ million people.
Right, it's the largest city in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
And
That or Tokyo, one of the two.
If you want to complain about traffic, go there for a week and see what it can be like, you know.
Yeah.
You definitely want to avoid that.
Yeah, like fair say, indeed. And I'm you know, first world problems I'm complaining about, but
they are our problems because that's where we live.
yeah, that's true.
You know,
True too.
it's just important to always maintain a sense of reality about it.
And grounded, yes. Let's be grounded. We'll remain grounded.
But a noticeable difference, like, you know, Joe, you don't drive, I don't think. Right?
No, I don't.
You're not driving every day.
No.
I find anyway, especially, you know, in Ontario, if somebody's, you know, dogging it down the road and you go to pass them, they speed up. You know, if you're in a merge, they cut you off, right? If they think you've offended them for whatever fantasy that they have about their driving skills, they honk their horn and don't get off of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give you the finger and yell and scream. Didn't see any of that in Mexico. People let people merge. The last thing they want to do is get a dent in their fender, and they all get along. You know, it's a 2-lane road and it's three lanes of traffic. Like it's and everybody's moving, so it's a different attitude.
I've heard about
driving.
They just clear the roads when like what's the word, when the kidnappers are speeding through with their victims, you know, they let them, everybody's letting them right through, whereas here we're stopping in front of ambulances when the cartels come down. They're
Everyone's respectful.
Everyone's waving and saying hi to the gunner that's standing in the back of the truck.
You joke about that in the military. They put a machine gun up on top of an oversized pickup truck,
Mhm.
and they're driving around the streets, and they now allow women in the military down there. So you see this
Outrageous.
female in battle armor, basically the helmet,
Right.
the bulletproof vest, and they have a harness up there so that you can kind of relax while you're hanging behind your machine gun. And I can tell you, they get through the traffic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Here we'd see something like that, we'd be like, oh, that's so cool, that is awesome.
Yeah.
There you see something like that, it's like, oh shit, let's get the hell out of here. Because here we don't think bad things are going to happen.
No, I know.
We think you're filming a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
We do take a lot of things for granted,
Yes,
that's for sure.
no kidding. Which makes this whole, like,
And
all this crap being said down south about us
and
all the more aggravating.
well, even going back to just Calgary, as we were talking about Calgary and taking things for granted, let's talk about the hood in Calgary. It's an area town called Forest Lawn, and Dover, I guess, is kind of thrown in there. That's considered our hood, right?
Yeah.
The dangerous area. Well, you don't go to Forest Lawn. You don't go to Forest Lawn. I lived in Forest Lawn for about 2 years. If this is the hood, this is the nicest hood I've ever seen. The safest hood in the entire country. I come from Saskatoon, which is a city of only 300,000 people, and they got a hood. Like, you literally don't walk in that hood.
Right.
You're gonna have problems, right? And in Calgary, oh, don't go in the hood. Why? Because the restaurants aren't that good. But that's about it. Why shouldn't I walk in the hood in Calgary? Because there's a great transit system that will get you anywhere you want to go. It's the safest hood I've ever seen. You know, even your crackheads walking by are like, "Hey, good day," you know. "Hey, how are you doing?"
They ask you if you want a quarter.
Yeah.
You need a quarter?
Are you okay? Do you need some help with anything? Can I call you a cab? I'll pay for it. I mean, it's just it's funny that way, and it just reminds us of these first world problems that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Our hood, I would say, is safer. Is 10 times safer than many entire cities around the world.
Yeah.
That are struggling financially.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like a fool complaining about something while we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I know.
Like in a studio.
I gotta run, guys. I gotta go pick my wife up.
Yeah, we've got to wrap this up as well.
She won't be happy if I'm late gabbing you guys.
Well, when she sees the video, she'll give us a dislike. Not that we want to encourage people to do that.
I think she spent about 3 seconds watching this and wondered why she was, it's something. It's time she'll never get back, right?
Can we use that in a promo clip?
Yeah. It's at least 20 minutes you'll never get back.
Hey, if you're suffering from insomnia, diarrhea lives in.
That's wonderful. Anyway, Rob, we want to thank you.
So, hey, is Corey still there?
No, he took off.
He's back
I'm
working his
still
magic. There he is.
There he is.
Anyways, have a good afternoon, guys.
You
Yeah,
too.
you as
Thanks
well.
for being on the show. And for everybody watching, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you give us a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get and hit that little notification bell so that you get notified every time we drop a new video. We're trying to do at least one a week, and we might up that from there. So like, subscribe, hit notifications, and more importantly, share the video. And you know, if you like it, great. If not, well,
We're doing our best.
yeah, do it anyway. I mean, it doesn't cost you a penny, folks,
Yeah.
but it makes all the difference to us. Don't be true to yourself. Just do as you're told.
Just do as you're told. Obey.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day.
See ya.